What up, what up? This is Coach Liebs, and welcome to episode 42 of Coach Talk. Excuse the environment. I'm in the middle of New York City, parked in my car, sprinted off the practice field, and drove right to the city. I have a business meeting. It's coming up as soon as I record this, so I just wanted to make sure I get this done, and I'll produce it sometime tonight. But if there's any noise distractions, just try and bear with me, and we'll try and get this done and make it as enjoyable an episode as possible. Wednesday practice, as you guys know, today's our get right day, where we're really focused on execution, focused on shoring up all the little details and cleaning up any mistakes that were made Monday, Tuesday. We had a good day today. It was good weather. It was a good environment. It was just a good vibe overall by the entire team. It was competitive, and we got done what we needed to get done. I think there's less drama associated with all these updates that I give you guys. I feel like earlier in the season there was always all these things that went wrong or this big issue I had to deal with or coaches had to deal with. And I think that's a sign of how we're growing up and maturing as a football team, where the kids understand that the only way to be successful is to show up and put your hard hat on every day and get to work and try to become 1% better. And if we can become 1% better every single day, in 100 days, we'll be a hell of a lot better. And, 20 days will be a hell of a lot better. So that's kind of the mentality we've taken on, and I think it's been good for us. As far as Coach Talk goes, I have a couple concepts I want to talk about things that I've been learning a lot about. I've been hearing people more successful than me talk about, things that I've been applying to my life as the CEO of the Sideline Hustle as we continue to navigate and grow, but also things that I apply to my life as a coach and things that I want my players to apply to their lives as well. The first one, I heard this on the Masters of Scale podcast, which is a podcast hosted by Reid Hoffman, who's the CEO and founder of LinkedIn. And he basically talks to CEOs and talks to them about what their strategies were to grow their business into scalable, massive companies. And something he was talking about today was this concept of infinite learning, and that the best CEOs he's met are all infinite learners in the sense that they're always looking for new ways to improve. They never settle, and most importantly, they never assume they figured something out. Even if you've built a $100 billion company, the minute you assume that you have it figured out and you stop innovating and you stop being curious to see what else is out there, that's the minute that your growth stops and your trajectory of continuing to grow stops. And I've talked about this concept once before on this podcast. I just didn't word it as well as infinite learning. I talked about how, the best players I've ever met and the best coaches I've ever met use curiosity as a motivating factor, meaning that they're always curious to find out how they could be improving themselves. If you run, if you're a wide receiver and you just came off a season where you had 70 catches for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, well, you could be satisfied with that, fine. Well, then the best season you'll ever have is 70 catches, 1,000 yards, and 10 touchdowns. If you really want to be the greatest of all time, you better be curious about how you can improve your game to make that 85 catches and 1,500 yards or 100 catches and 2,000 yards, whatever it might be. You better be curious about how you can continue to perfect your craft. Even if you see there's an individual route that you're great at running, well, when you play a better corner, that corner might cover you, so you better find every way you can to improve yourself. And it's no different as a coach. I think it was something I had to talk to myself about quite a bit, that we broke every single school record, a lot of league records at Wesleyan. And it was something where to myself, I kind of sat back and reflected after the season and said, wow, I really feel like I'm starting to figure out this coaching thing. I feel like I have a really good feel for motivating players. I feel great about the knowledge I have about the wide receiver position and my ability to teach technique to these players. I really feel like it's starting to catch on. But what I was careful about was that I didn't get to a point where I was telling myself I had it figured out, because I was humble enough to understand that I definitely didn't have it figured out. I definitely was not perfect. We did not have a perfect season. There were a lot of things that when I replayed the scenes of the season in my head, there were a million things I wanted to do differently. Even if it was the way I motivated a kid on one day, I wish I'd motivated him differently. I wish I'd held him more accountable. Or rotation mistakes. Man, I should have had so-and-so in the game instead of, whatever other player. Little things like that. Like, you're never going to go through a football season and be perfect. But don't let any success that you might have, get in the way of your motivation to continue to improve. And always view yourself as an infinite learner and understand that is not a knock on you. That doesn't mean that you don't know. That is a great quality to have really for anybody, to always be motivated and hungry to learn and to never stop learning and to always be curious about how you could be better. I think that's one of the greatest traits anyone can develop. And it's something that I really feel like I've really had as a CEO. Since starting the Sideline Hustle, because I didn't know anything. Like I started this business and I was a football coach. I had no idea how to make videos. I taught myself, by watching YouTube videos. I had no idea how to produce a podcast. Again, self-taught with that. Had no idea how to run a business, how to price myself, how to market myself. Like all I knew how to do was coach receivers and motivate players. And I figured, I'll just figure out how to take those traits and basically bring them to scale in a way and make it so they can be massively, so that the masses can consume my content. And I think that it's been a huge advantage for me starting a business where I knew nothing about the business side, because I've been forced to be an infinite learner. I didn't come into this process with any preconceived notions that to trick myself into thinking that, I had things figured out, or here's how you do this. I had no idea how to do anything. I still don't. As funny as it is, we're at 11.4 thousand followers now after just a year of starting this, and I still don't feel like I know what the hell I'm doing. I feel like I've gotten much better at making videos. I feel like I've gotten much better at marketing myself and all those little things. I'm better at them, but I don't pretend to have any answers here at all. And it's why I take advice from every single one of my followers. I get kids who DM me, or coaches who DM me or leave a comment, say, hey, make this video. And I make that video because I don't pretend to know, one of my customers wants a video on a topic. I don't pretend to know what he or she wants, more than he does. So if most of the time, if you want to see specific content from me, all you got to do is ask, and I will assume that if you're asking for it, thousands of other people want to see it, and I'm humble enough to take a step back and give the audience what they want, and that way. So infinite learning, I think it's a very important concept, something I want to talk about more, something I want to preach to my players more, but something I just wanted to address here, because I think it's a great concept for all of us as coaches, as players, as businessmen, as humans, as fathers, sons, mothers, daughters. If you're an infinite learner, you're always learning on how you could be doing your job better. And I don't think there's a greater quality as a person to have as far as something that will help you, continue to progress in a positive way. The other concept I wanted to talk about, and I've been reading the book called The Secret, which is a very famous book, sold millions of copies, but it's about the law of attraction. And basically the law of attraction states that your thoughts become things, and that whatever you're thinking in your head, whatever you're feeling on a daily basis, whatever you're consuming your thoughts with, that will eventually materialize in your life. So if you're inherently negative and you think this isn't going to work out, eventually it's not going to work out. If you're inherently positive, kind of the way I was with Sideline Hustle, where I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but this is going to work out, I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to find a way. If those are the pictures that are going on in your head, well, then eventually that will work out. And the way The Secret puts it is it says that your thoughts is like a TV frequency. And that if you want to change the channel, well, you have to change the frequency inside your head. If you want to see different pictures in front of you, you have to change the frequency that's being created in your head. Change the thoughts in your head, and over time, you will then change, the pictures that you're seeing will change, and you will eventually reap what you sow, essentially. And so, that law of attraction all stems from the way you're talking to yourself. And that's something I talk about all the time, is how are you talking to yourself? And I say that to my players all the time, because inevitably, in the crucial moments, in the fourth quarter, in a 2-minute drill to win the game, you have to have poise. I don't care if you're the most physically gifted receiver of all time. You have to have the poise to block out distractions and execute your job in that moment. And the way you develop that poise is having control over the voice in your head and having the ability to calm yourself down, block out all the distractions, and talk to yourself the right way and in a positive way that will instill confidence and calmness and allow you to go execute. So I think that with that, the law of attraction, how you're talking to yourself, it all kind of goes together and is useful for players and coaches, so that you can gain control of that voice inside your head and realize, I think part of that is recognizing the power that voice has. Recognize there's the law of attraction exists and it's proven, and that the way you talk to yourself, the thoughts in your head will materialize in your life. So constantly work to gain control of that voice. And as a coach, I try to make things difficult and try to make things chaotic. Everything I do is to help my players further gain control of that voice. And it's a huge crux of my coaching philosophy, is to make everything, outside of the game as difficult as possible, so that the players have to work through situations where they have to gain control of their voice and have poise, and that way it becomes easy for them, on game day. So that's all I got. Running out of time a little bit, but thought these were some cool topics. Coach Liebs, this is episode 42 of Coach Talk. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.